Hello, this is lesson 1.2, Comments. A comment is a line or multiple lines of text that are inserted into the source code to explain what the code is doing. In C++, there are two kinds of comments. The // symbol begins a C++ single line comment, which tells the compiler to ignore everything to the end of the line. For example, cout hello world. Then end line. / everything from here to the right is ignored. Ignore the error for now. Typically, the single line comment is used to make a quick comment about a single line of code. We could say, for example, a more useful comment, of course, would be cout and endline live in the IOStream library. Cout, it is very nice to meet you. Line. These comments make the code hard to read. Cout. Yeah. And line. Especially when the lines are different lengths. Having comments to the right of a line can make both the code and the comment hard to read, particularly if the line is long. Consequently, the / comment is often placed above the line it is commenting. You would do this. Hello world end line. Now, this is much easier to read. It's nice to meet you. So yeah, we'll just spin whatever, don't you think so? Yeah. Now, the /* and * pair of symbols denotes a C-style multi-line comment. Everything in between the symbols is ignored. For example, this is a multi-line comment. This line will be ignored. So will this one. Since everything between the symbols is ignored, you will sometimes see programmers beautify their multi-line comments by doing something like this. This, then. For example. The matching asterisk to the left can make it easier to read. So, multi-line comments do not nest. Consequently, the following will have unexpected results. If you do this, this is a multi-line comment. This is not inside the comment, as you can see, obviously. So, take it as a general rule, never nest comments inside of other comments. Typically, comments should be used for three things. At the library, program, or the function level, comments should be used to describe what the library, program, or function does. For example, let's delete all of that. This program calculates the student's final grade based on his test and homework scores. This function uses Newton's method to approximate the root of a given equation. The following lines generate a random item based on rarity, level, and the weight factor. All of these comments give the reader a good idea of what the program is trying to accomplish without having to look at the actual code. The user, possibly someone else, or you if you're trying to reuse code you've already written in the future, can tell at a glance whether the code is relevant to what he or she is trying to accomplish. This is particularly important when working as part of a team where not everybody will be familiar with all the code. Second, within the library program or function described above, comments should be used to describe how the code is going to accomplish its goal. For example, another one would be, let me just copy and paste from existing ones, something as such. To calculate the final grade, we sum all the weighted midterm and homework scores. We could go on and say, for example, and then divide by the number of scores to assign a percentage, blah, 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 blah. Or we could say, for example, generate a random item. We're going to do the following. 1, put all the items on the desired rarity on a list. 2, calculate the probability for each item based on the level of weight factor. 3, choose a random number. 4, figure out, the steps. And 5, return the appropriate item. Now, these comments give the user an idea of how the code is going to accomplish its goal without going into too much detail. At the statement level, comments should be used to describe why the code is doing something. A bad statement comment explains what the code is doing. If you ever write code that is so complex that it needs a comment to explain what a statement is doing, you probably need to rewrite your code, not comment it. Here are some examples of bad line comments and good line state comments. A bad one would be set site range to 0, then say site equals 0. Yes, we already can see that site is being set to 0 by looking at the statement. A good comment would be, the player just drank a potion of blindness and cannot see anything, and then say site equals 0. Now we know why the player's site is being set to 0. Another example of bad comment would be, calculate the cost of the items. Then say cost equals items over 2 times store price. Yes, well, we can see that this is a cost calculation, but why is item divided by 2? A good comment for that would be, we need to divide items by 2 here because, let's say, they are bought in pairs. Cost, you would just say that line in here. Now we know. So programmers often have to make a tough decision between solving a problem one way or solving it the other way. Comments are a great way to remind yourself or tell somebody else the reason you made one decision instead of the other. Finally, comments should be written in a way that makes sense to someone who has no idea what the code does. It is often the case that a programmer will say, it's obvious what this does. There's no way I'll ever forget about this. Well, guess what? It's not obvious, and you will be amazed how quickly you forget. You or someone else will thank you later for writing down the what, how, and why of your code in human language. Reading the individual lines of code is easy. Understanding what goal they are meant to accomplish is not. So, to summarize, at the library, program, or function level, describe what. Inside the library, program, or function, describe how. And at the statement level, describe why. Now, commenting out sections of code temporarily can be useful in several cases. For example, if you're working on a new piece of code that won't compile yet and you need to run the program, the compiler won't let you run if there are compiler errors. Commenting out the in-progress code will allow the program to compile so that you can run it. Or, if you want to change the way your program executes by commenting out individual lines of code. For example, you think a particular function call is crashing your program. Commenting out the function call and running your program may indicate whether that function was the problem. Now, in our upcoming examples, I will remind you that, for example, Visual Studio Express users that need to start their program with include stdfx.h. However, I will typically comment out this line of code because it will cause compiler errors on other compilers. Visual Studio Express users must uncomment the line before they compile. This is the end of lesson 1.2. See you next time.